Hello everybody, this is Zoe from No Safer Place, and today I am here with another review of one of my most anticipated books of 2019. If you guys have been watching my channel for a while and you're observant, you will see that I'm doing a review of Carrie Fletcher's new book, In the Time We Lost. I have been so excited for this book since it was announced earlier in the year. This is a hefty old book. I feel like this may be one of her biggest. I'm not sure, but it does feel like a big one. Now, I always do my notes in the same book, and it is this one. It just so happens to be a hopeful notebook, which I absolutely adore, by the way. So this book comes out the 17th of October, so we still have a few months left, but I thought I would review it now while it's still fresh in my mind. I started taking notes yesterday when I finished it, and I ended up writing 5 pages. That is how good this book was. So as I say, Carrie has been one of my favourites for years, but I have to say, when I read the synopsis of this book, I was really quite sceptical. It sounded so different to everything that she's written before. So yeah, I must say I was nervous going into this. This story focuses on 26-year-old Luna Lark. What I found really relatable about this book was that our main character was a very similar age to me. So I'm 25 and the main character was 26, and because I predominantly read YA, I don't really read many books where the characters are the same age as me, and I feel like when I read adult crime, the characters are in their 40s or 50s, and because they're my two main genres, I never really find myself reading characters that are my age, so I loved that about this book. And of course, it's a lot more relatable to how I feel now. When I read YA, it is relatable, but it's something that I related to a decade ago rather than how I feel now. So this book felt very poignant to me. So our poor main character, Luna, goes to the altar to marry her soon-to-be husband, and she finds out that she has been dumped. He is a complete no-show with no real explanation. So Luna goes off alone to the honeymoon destination that she was supposed to go to with her new hubby, and then a year later she returns to the same destination of Ondingside in Scotland. It is a town that homes about 300 people, so it is very small. And she goes there to see if she can find her mojo again. Now, at the time when she first gets there, she thinks that she is trying to find her writing mojo because our main character is a writer, so we think she's trying to rekindle her writing spark. But she realises that it's not just her writing spark that is gone, but her spark for life has just completely diminished. And that has been from a line of seriously bad events. Then I'm not going to say too much about this, but in a Groundhog Day-esque vibe, Luna starts to experience a lot of deja vu and starts to wonder if she's met certain people before, if she's been to certain places before, because it all feels a little too familiar. And we as the reader start to think, is it this freak snowstorm that has randomly started in the middle of July that's causing this? Is it something magical, or is it just fate? I'm not going to say too much more about the plot because I think that's something you have to discover for yourself. All the twists and turns and the unexpected events, you need to read that for yourself. But what I loved most about this book was Luna's journey. So after a string of really crap luck, she goes there to kind of find herself again. Remember how to socialise, how to be a good neighbour, how to be a good friend, all of those things that she seems to have forgotten how to do, because at the end of the day, she is just unhappy, and that's okay. She has lost herself, and her rediscovery of herself in this book is the most stunning part of it, in my opinion. I know we shouldn't compare authors to their work, but I really feel like Carrie's journey over the past few years of all the crap that she's been through to how she is now, it feels like a very similar journey to me. What I also loved about Luna is that she is massively flawed. She is very abrupt, she is very rude at times, she can be a little bit of a bitch if I'm honest. But somehow she still remains really likeable, because I think that those traits make her even more relatable. We're not just seeing a perfect goody two-shoes type character, it makes her more authentic, I think. And I think it also reminds us that we can be like that in life sometimes without even realising it. Like I said earlier, this book really does feel so different to anything that she's written before. Although the writing style and the magical realism is there. It feels like she has really evolved in her writing since her last book, When the Curtain Falls. And it feels like she's writing more out of her comfort zone, which I absolutely love. Of course, it's Carrie. There is a few hints of musical theatre in there, but not in the way that you may be expecting. It definitely didn't go unnoticed though. I think this book just felt a lot more mature than the others that I've read from her. Maybe because it felt more realistic, which is weird because there was so much magical realism in this, but it did feel more real. I finished this in a few hours. It was completely unputdownable. But what shocked me about that is that it wasn't short chapters. I am a real blitz reader if it's short chapters that I can just dip in and out of. But I finished this in a few hours with longish chapters, which is like something amazing for me. It means that the book was genuinely good. What I also love about Carrie's books is there always seems to be something that sticks out for me that just lasts in my mind, and it's usually a piece of food, like we had the orange sweets on the other side. And for me, this book, it was chip shop chips. I was craving chip shop chips so badly a third of the way through this book that I had to go out on a break and get them. So I'd advise, if you're reading this book and like chip shop chips, go out and get them before you start so you can just blitz read this. Carrie's way of writing something so magical and making it feel so magical with no real even mention of magic is something that I truly, truly marvel at. Something else that I loved was that Luna was a writer, obviously, as I mentioned earlier. I felt like Carrie portrayed that so well because she drew from her experience as a writer, and obviously it's something she's really familiar with, which you could definitely tell when you read the book. To me, it was a real finding yourself feel-good book. Normally those kind of books I like to enjoy in summer, but this one would be perfect for winter. Just snuggled with a blanket and a hot chocolate, because that's how you feel when you read this book. Just warm and fuzzy, and I cannot wait to reread this in winter. I just love Carrie. Like, is there anything she can't do? I have to talk a little bit about the ending. I'm not going to spoil anything, don't worry, you can carry on watching this. But it had me in absolute pieces. Of course, I won't say why or how, but it left me in tears. And afterwards, I actually felt quite angry. And books don't usually have that effect on me, but I really felt quite angry because it was so different to how the rest of her books have ended. But after I sat and thought about it for a while, I really understood why the ending was what it was, and it all felt really profound, and it was a bold choice to make, and I think it was the right one because it really got you thinking. If you read the synopsis, you feel like you know what will happen and think you know the purpose of this book, but I think the purpose of this book was definitely different than what I first thought, and I thought that was really interesting. Let me just say this, it is so much more than just a romance novel. I have to talk about the female friendships in this book. I was absolutely living for them. Wendy and Luna are a friendship that just completely warmed and melted my heart. I felt like they were the true love story in this book, and I came away just completely in love with both of them. And Beau. Let's talk a little bit about Beau. Adorable, sweet loving Beau. I'm not sure I can talk that much about him, but he is just pure joy and happiness on a page. But he definitely does house a few secrets of his own. And that's all I'm going to say about him. One thing I do have to say is that it took me quite a while to get into this book. When I read her other books, I pretty much got into them in the first few pages or so. So it was really quick to get me engaged and keep me engaged. But this book, I have to say, it took me about 50 to 100 pages to really get invested in the story and the characters. I was quite worried when I got to that point and thought, I could easily put this down, and that is not a good sign. But I persevered, and I am so glad I did, because the next 3/4 of the book is just so much better. So if you're struggling to get into it in the first kind of quarter of the book, persevere, because it is so worth it, and so much more than you think. It is just absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much to Little Brown for sending me an ARC of this book. I couldn't have been more excited for it, and it definitely didn't disappoint. Carrie is just an absolute wonder. She has written another gem of a book. It is just absolutely magical, and I would highly recommend it, especially in winter. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a like, comment, subscribe, all that usual good stuff. Also, if you did like this video, you can turn on the notification bell to be notified when I upload new videos, which is usually every Tuesday and every Saturday. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. Let me know what you would like to see more of on my channel, and I hope to see you all again soon. Thank you. Bye.